As it turns out, scoring goals and winning football matches isn't actually that hard. This is today's Arsenal Raw Reaction Show. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys and girls for another episode of what is indeed the Arsenal Raw Reaction Show, joining you the morning after the night before Arsenal's 4-0 victory over Wigan Athletic in the FA Cup fourth round. Through to the fifth round of the competition for the first time since 2020, when they would go on to win the tournament in its entirety. And the hope is that Arsenal will be doing that, not just in this competition, but of course in plenty others over the course of this season. Good morning to you all joining us. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for doing so. I will be doing a shorter episode because it is a Monday, which means I'm heading off to the studio for the Seeing Red podcast and a day of work, of course, as usual, up in FL Towers, if you like. Hence why I've already got my coat on ready to go, literally, because I'm going to shoot out the door as soon as I've finished today's show. So, unfortunately, there's no PowerPoint today, just because of the quickness of today's show and making sure that I do stick to my timings as well. So forgive me for that. But we're here. We're here to talk about Arsenal. We're here to talk about the game. We're going to get plenty of your thoughts and comments in the chat box as well throughout the show, not just in part one, but throughout, of course, as well. So good morning to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good morning to Canoe, to Martin, to John. We've got Paul and Sid and Mandy. We've got Martin and Maria, Mike and Pat in the chat box, Paul, Binny Bunn. We've got Barry and Maximius and Southport Gooner and Aris Silky. Good morning to Steve, to Grantley Poos. We've got Paul, we've got Z, we've got Carl. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, for listening. Greatly appreciate you being here. Boomer Gooner says, holy hell, I'm up for a live show. It's way too late for me and it's 2 a.m. Or is it still too early? It's never too early for a TGT morning show, as the saying goes. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you could drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show, that'd be greatly appreciated. So let's talk about it. Arsenal 4, Wigan Athletic 0. And I think we have to start with the disappointing news, which is, of course, that Riccardo Calafiori replaced for the second time this season from the starting 11 because of something during the warm-up, which is, beyond all realms of reality, really, isn't it? I don't think I've ever known that to happen. I've known it to happen once in a season, but twice in the space of 3 months is quite something special. I'm very surprised to see Calafiori again out. We don't know any of the details, really. I asked Arteta after the game for an update, and he just said, we'll just have to see how the next 48 hours progresses. Really bizarre, strange, and not quite sure what's going on there. Hopefully we'll hear some more from Arteta tomorrow in his pre-match press conference ahead of that game against Wolves on Wednesday night. But yes, Calafiori was replaced by Saka, which means that we were robbed of Miles Lewis-Skelly playing in midfield, because Miles Lewis-Skelly had to move to left back. It was what we thought it was going to be. I think it was pretty much spot on, besides one defender, from what we were talking about yesterday. But I was surprised actually with the number of changes that he did make. But Saka came in, and Saka played in this kind of attacking midfield central role. And it's something we've not seen for a very long time. I think it was even lockdown the last time that we'd seen Saka play in this kind of central role. It's not something we're too familiar with. It's not something that we've tended to see too often, if at all, from Mikel Arteta's team. And speaking after the game as well, he said he was actually quite surprised, not only with Saka playing there, but with Eze there, with Madueke there. He said he was surprised how quickly the cohesion and connections very early in the match kind of developed, because when you make many changes, that can be a part of the game that can be lacking, but it wasn't. And we scored some very, very good goals, and I'm very pleased with that. So it was quite bizarre how quickly the team seemed to mesh. And yes, of course, you can talk about the level of the opposition and the level of how Wigan were, but I prefer to kind of look internally. I prefer to look at what was actually on order for us. And what we had was some really brilliant attacking movement, some great attacking moments. And at the centre of all of that was Eberechi Eze. I mean, of course, would I have liked it to have happened on Thursday night? Of course I would have done. But beggars can't be choosers. And it's good to see that this hopefully could be something of a springboard maybe for Eberechi Eze to propel him to a really strong second half of the season, because we no doubt need Eze to be on absolute top form through the course of the rest of this season. Because if he isn't, then we are lacking an exceptional talent's ability to change games, to score goals and win football matches. And certainly Eze showed in yesterday's game why he should start the game in midweek at Wolves. I'm not thinking about trying Saka there necessarily. I think it will be Rice back in, Zubi back in, but Eze playing in that midfield position, and hopefully he can continue that form that we saw from that previous game, because he was much, 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 much better than from the games that we've seen over the course of the majority of this season so far. Madueke was lively again, finding those spaces on the right-hand side. Really good finish, of course, for his goal. Some really good crosses, actually, and he created some good chances. I always feel like he tries to beat his man once too many, and when he tries to do that, he isn't like Trossard. Like, Trossard's got a much better success rate when it comes to beating his man. Madueke doesn't necessarily have that, and I always feel like he tries to beat his man 1, 2, 3 too many times. When he should be just putting the ball in the box or playing that pass off to Ben White or to Eze, who's hanging around, or Saka in those moments. But I still was really enjoying Madueke's performance. It'll be Saka, I assume, that comes back into the starting 11 on that right-hand side against Wolves in midweek. But Madueke is in good form. That's 2 goals in 2 games now. And, of course, he's also got a goal against Leeds. So you can argue that's 3 goals in, well, it's certainly 3 goals in the last games between the Premier League and the FA Cup. But there's always just, we want more from him. And I think we saw more from him yesterday. Again, we can talk about the level, but at the end of the day, it's still positive to see that kind of connections moving around. And Saka was really promising. I love the way that he kind of received the ball, turned on it, sprinted, drove at the opposition back line. We've lacked a little bit of that from those positions, that attacking midfield role in those dangerous areas. So is it something that we might see again? Well, Arteta did kind of hint to the idea of seeing that and seeing that happen more often as well. And maybe it's something that we might see him try in the future. He certainly seemed to say that it was kind of something that's a possibility and he wanted to try it and we might use it in the future. So we still have so many games, competitions, different scenarios to play in this season. And that's a possibility that we have. So he's not ruling out the idea of using Saka in that position in those further games either. Martinelli, good to see him on the score sheet. I wish he could have had that finishing prowess on his left boot that he had there in moments like Forest, in moments like the Brentford game. We might have some extra points if he took those opportunities on. I hope it gives him the confidence that he can take these opportunities on his left foot, because he should be doing it more often and he should be finishing like he just finished that chance. Martinelli has, I think now, 10 goals in 13 cup games this season. I think he's the first player to reach double digits in cup competitions and European competitions since Ian Wright, which is quite the statistic, but he's managed to do it. And he's in the Champions League and the League Cup, in the FA Cup. He has been excellent. And he's doing exceptionally well in these cup competitions, but he's only got 1 goal in all of his league games this season, which is obviously not good enough. But in the cup competitions, he's got plenty. And it means that this season, of course, he's got a lot of goals. In fact, he must be up there near Gyökeres alongside our top scorers, Martinelli, across all competitions. But in the league, he couldn't be further away from being our top scorer. So, again, another moment where I'm hoping that it can propel him forwards to greater things. Then Gabriel Jesus gets his goal. You know what? I do long for the day that Gabriel Jesus has a game of football where he's not called offside on at least 2 occasions where he should be absolutely without question standing in an onside position. There's just something about Jesus and offside calls that just continues always to baffle my brain. Just ridiculous, really. I can't get over the idea that he just somehow, for some reason, cannot stay onside for the absolute life of him. So hopefully that's something that changes. Hopefully that's something that he works on. But it was a really nice finish, great touch, of course. He should have had another one, I think, later on in the game in the second half with that shot that was low that Tickle saved. Martinelli should have had another one as well. That header from Zubimendi's cross right at the death. Absolutely should have scored that goal too. But overall, really good performance from Arsenal. Really good game from the team with the goal scorers. In the second half, I think I spoke to Phil Duncan from PA next to me and I said to him, he was like, this could be like 8-0. And I was like, you wait. Second half, we ain't scoring a single goal. You watch this team just manage the second half. Don't need to go all out. Don't need to expend any extra energy. Just need to see out the game. 4-0. Happy days. And that's exactly what they did. And I know that some people were saying, we should have gone and absolutely destroyed Wigan. We didn't need to. 4-0, 8-0, 9-0 in a cup game, same result. 1-0, 4-0, 8, doesn't matter. You're going through. There's no goal difference. There's no extra bonuses for scoring extra goals. You're through. You've scored 4 goals, manage the second half, see it out, rest your legs, conserve your energy, go again in midweek. And that's exactly what they did. It was a really mature performance, and that's all they needed to do in the second half. And they could have easily, got another goal. Gyökeres hit the post. As I say, Martinelli had that header at the end. Jesus had a chance as well. Eze had a chance. So they could have easily scored more, but they didn't need to. They just saw the game out. They didn't have to go any further. It was a really mature way of seeing out the game. It's always going to be a bit of a drag in the second half when you've absolutely battered them. Do you remember when we went 5-0 up against Sheffield United and everyone was like, wow, it's going to be 8-0. And I think it ended 5-0 or maybe even just 6. But yeah, we don't need to go mad in those games when you're already winning 4-0 at halftime. You just need to see the game out. Happy days. Take the round through to the next one. If it's a league game, you've got more of an argument to do that because of goal difference, but it does not matter in cup games. Just on some other individual performances, really happy with Mosquera and Saliba at the back. Thought they did really, really well. Was happy with Ben White's performance as well. He set up a couple of chances, a couple of really nice passes. Think his connections, his relationship with Madueke is still something that needs to improve. But as soon as Gyökeres came on, great ball through for, of course, his chance. And I thought he set up Jesus as well quite nicely for his opportunity in the second half too. He was up and down that right-hand side really, really well. There's still some rarities to his game. He's still not of the level of Jurriën Timber, but I think he shows you exactly what he brings to the side. And I think he should be coming on more. I think we should be bringing off Timber in games more and bringing on Ben White in games more to offer us more legs, more progression, more penetration. I think Ben White offers all of that. So, yeah, I thought it was a good game from Ben White. And I think that Christian Norgard as well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with him being man of the match. I think I would have given Eze the man of the match award. And I think he was maybe slightly at fault for the chance that Wigan did create in the first half that Kepa made a good save from. But overall, I thought Norgard was excellent. His ball over the top to Jesus, pinpoint, some really mature passing. He just looks solid. He's just a really solid player. And again, it kind of leans into this point that I've been talking about for a little while now. Why is he not playing more minutes? Why is Mendy not coming off in games? I'm not talking about him starting Premier League matches. I'm just saying, why is Norgard not being given the opportunity to come off the bench in games, help see out wins, help see out results? I don't understand why we don't do that more often. Arthur says that we had 2 penalties not awarded. I don't know about 2. The handball was outside the box, so it wasn't that one. I'm not sure what the other one was. But again, it's VAR. Like VAR not existing in these games at Premier League grounds is always baffling. It's ridiculous why VAR isn't involved in the FA Cup at Premier League grounds. You don't have to have it across every single game in the competition if grounds can't implement it. But if you can have it at certain games at Premier League grounds, you should have it because these Premier League referees are not good enough. Let alone the ones maybe even further down the table. So, yeah, that is certainly a bit of a worry. Amberley says Benny is way better than Timber in attack. It's just the reverse at the other end of the pitch. Frank says the penalty, same with Newcastle. What are the referees doing? There's no need to be upset, says Black Warrior. Kirill says, make this your question for Arteta at the press conference later this morning. We've already asked him about Norgard and why he's not getting more minutes. And he says that his role that he's got to play in the team it goes beyond just what he does on the pitch. I don't necessarily agree. I think that, he should be playing more. But, yeah, Franklin says I'd start Norgard against Wolves. If he doesn't start in that game, who is going to start? Zubi will start that game. Zubi, Rice, Eze will be the midfield 3. And I wouldn't pick Norgard to start. I just want to see him getting more minutes from the bench. And that's what I want to see more of. Honey says Norgard's forward passes were great. They were great. They were excellent. He really did show up. Really was very happy with his performance. Just on a couple of debutant moments, Tommy Setford, of course, making his home debut. He's already played for Arsenal. If you might remember, he played against Preston. Started that game for Arsenal. It was a really good catch in the box with a long cross in there. Dealt with that really, really well. I asked Arteta after the game whether this was the moment that we'd kind of been waiting for around, him substituting a goalkeeper in the game. A little bit, tongue-in-cheek question. But, he was absolutely raving about Tommy Setford and clearly rates him very, very highly as well. So they seem to be very happy with him. And Marley Salmon made his home debut as well, coming off the bench. It would have been nice to see Kadak O'Neill come off the bench as well. I thought when Zubimendi came on, we'd only made 4 changes. At that point, why not give Kadak O'Neill the opportunity? But, Tommy Setford came on and, yeah, really is just it's great to see young players get opportunities and get chances. I think Marley Salmon dealt with the situation really, really well. You know, he wasn't overawed by the situation, the physicality of the Wigan players. He gave a couple of fouls away, but overall, I thought he did really, really well. And it was nice to see Matt Smith, you know, back at the club. There's a couple of Wigan fans that suggested that he was actually their best player and they were surprised he weren't starting. So he's the one, of course, who was in Arteta's squad when he won the FA Cup back in 2020 and managed to pick up a medal despite not getting on the field. So fair play to him, and wish him all the best, of course, for the future as well. But yes, that sees Arsenal go through to the next round of the competition. First time they've reached the 5th round, as I say, since 2020. So really good news there. Let's get some of your questions, shall we? Getting into the chat box. Tony says, Tom, the FA Cup matches showed how much the referees rely on VAR. In our match, the linesman putting the flag up, like, yeah, the linesman on our side by the press box, the dugout side was horrendous. Like, got so many calls wrong, so many basic calls wrong. It was absolutely ridiculous. Like, the throw-ins he was giving incorrectly after clear touches from players was a joke. Absolutely a joke. Paul says, I think we played as well as we needed to yesterday, and we need to win against Wolves, so we have to go strong. Soup says, were we attempting more line-breaking passes in this game, or was that the opposition? I think that it's to do with the opposition, in all honesty. You know, they opened up a lot more. We hit them in transition much quicker because they overcommitted at times. They left themselves very, very exposed at the back, and that enabled the spaces to open up. But that being said, I would still like to see them be braver. I'd like to see those passes more frequently. I think we can do more. I think we can do better from those opportunities, and we absolutely should try to. So certainly, I'm looking at that and thinking, yeah, we need more. We do need more from that. Carl says, Tom, quick question about today's ballot. Did you warn us previously about potential problems with the group applications? I seem to remember. Yes. So if you do apply for a Carabao Cup final ticket as a group, if you are unsuccessful, you will all be unsuccessful. It isn't a case of like some of you in the group that you have applied for to sit together. Some of you will be in, some of you won't. You either all get it or you all don't. As far as I'm aware, that is how it works. Chinho says, Tom, who would you like to face in the 5th round of the FA Cup? I'm hoping for another tie against Wrexham, home or away. Just anyone at home, to be honest, mate. Like, anyone at home, I will take. I'm really not too fussy. I don't, frankly, care who we get, even if it's a Man City. Like, just get a home tie. Stop these trips, stop these travelling moments. We don't need it. So, yeah. Just get us into the next round of the competition, get us a home tie. Suddenly you're in the quarterfinal, and then you're in a semi-final. You know, it's quickly how these things kind of add up. So, yeah, really, really positive. So you've got Wrexham, you've got Chelsea, you've got West Ham, Southampton, Norwich, Man City. You've got Mansfield Town. You've got Newcastle United still. Liverpool are in it. Yesterday's results as well in the competition saw, obviously, Arsenal go through. Leeds went through in penalties against Birmingham. Wolves went through, Fulham went through, Sunderland went through, and we've still tonight got Macclesfield against Brentford. So the draw is tonight, I believe, and we'll find out who Arsenal get in the next round of the competition. Mikey says, seems that the cup games are helping Arteta to find new solutions to the first team, solutions which I hope are going to be used. Yeah, and I sincerely hope that, again, we see more of White, we see more of Norgard, we saw more of Saka playing centrally. I want to see these things. I want to see Eze doing the things he was doing in this game against some better opposition. You know, there's a lot of things that are really positive from this game that I do really want to see some more of. I haven't really mentioned Miles Lewis-Skelly other than the fact that he was moved out of midfield. I'll be very honest with you. It wasn't an amazing performance again from Miles. I think he had some difficult moments. You know, there were times where he was beaten by his man. I think it was Costello on that left-hand side. There was one moment he just brought him down, another moment where he just got away from him. So it didn't have the best of games. And maybe it is that this left-back role is just not going to be Miles's future. And it's a shame that it was kind of torn away from him, the chance to play in midfield. So I sincerely hope that we see him in midfield at some point as well. Franken says, I don't want the potential banana skin of a Wrexham and ending up on Disney Plus losing to them. Yeah, it's a very, very good point, isn't it? Frank says, Tom, do you know what time the next day? I think it's tonight. I think it'll be after the game between Macclesfield and Brentford. Tony says, Tom, I really want Eze to succeed, but he does remind me a bit of Ozil. He's got the skill, but he doesn't necessarily want to defend. And I think that's fair. You know, he doesn't cover the ground. He does try to find those. He does try to find those energy, those energizing moments where he tracks back a bit. But yeah, like he's got the Özil kind of stance about him, if you like. He isn't an Odegaard style 10. He's more of an Özil style 10. But even I don't even want him to be 10. I think he should be playing more out on the left-hand side. Give him less responsibilities, allow him to be a little bit more of a flair player, take him out of the centre, take him out of that responsibility, put him out wide, and see what he can do from there. That's personally what I would do. David says, will bringing on Zubi when you're 4-0 up? Well, to be fair, I think it was Ben White that was injured. I don't think Zubimendi would have come on if it wasn't for that injury. So that's probably why that happened. And it didn't really matter in the end. Amira says, saw Saka at left back on the lineup graphic and thought I was back in 2019. Yeah. Paul says, any news about Zinchenko? I think he got a bit of a bad injury, didn't he? Someone said that I think he got a bit of a bad injury. But I'm not sure what happened. Zinchenko suffered a nasty injury just over 2 minutes into his Ajax home debut. Doesn't look good from the pictures. Seems to be maybe his knee. So not ideal for him in that moment. Jackson says it doesn't really have that defensive instinct, which is fine. And it is fine as long as you've got everyone else covering that. But Arteta tends to want to see that happen. John says, I'm no Mystic Meg, but I can see Mansfield versus Man City in the next round. Yeah, just wait for that draw to come out. Micah says, when Miles plays in midfield, he will shine. He made a few passes and shots last night, which showed some qualities from the centre. Chino says, the draw starts before the Brentford game. Oh, there you go. So it's before the Brentford game. So we'll know who Arsenal are playing before that. So that's positive. I'm actually out this evening. So I might end up missing the draw and not knowing about it till a bit later. But hopefully a positive draw. Mansfield at home, please. That would be great. Something like that. That would be just brilliant. So fingers crossed Arsenal can get a really positive home draw before then maybe reaching a quarterfinal, which will then hopefully also be at home as well. We want to go through this competition. We want to keep being involved. We want to keep playing. We don't want to be sacrificing these competitions necessarily. So let's see if we can go through and win as many games as we can. Dank says, hey, Tom, I'm saying it here first. Arteta will play with double wingers on each side. I mean, that would be quite something. Saka and Noni, Martinelli and Trossard, Yoka through the middle. Going to play a 3-2-5? That would be something quite special to see, wouldn't it? Let's go to Martin says, does anyone have an updated Arsenal app on their phone? I don't know. Martin, you'd have I don't know why that's relevant. Is it for the ticketing or assume something like that? And Kirill says, I don't want Wrexham either. They are 8th in the Championship and they still have a charge to make it to the Premier League promotion playoffs. Come on. We can't be saying we don't want Championship sides. Let's be real. Come on now. Let's not do that. Paul says, if the draw is before tonight's game, why wasn't it then done yesterday? I don't know. So people watch the draw and then the game, maybe, broadcast-wise? Is that why it makes sense? Vakan says, do we officially have more injuries than last season? So I was looking at this, and we have had 28 so far this season. And it was said that Arsenal had 29. Now, I checked the numbers yesterday and on the same website, and it claims that we actually had 39 separate. Now, that includes kind of like one-off games where a player wasn't fit enough, like when Saliba missed one game and Odegaard missed one game. So separate specific injuries. Last season, we had 39. This season, so far, we've had 28. So it seems that we haven't had as many individual injuries. And I doubt that we would have as many in terms of days because like Tomiyasu missed the entire season. Havertz missed half a season. Ben White missed half a season. There was a lot of kind of big injuries. But still, we might yet have that with the likes of Marino and Havertz for the first half and Ben White for big chunks and Saka and Madueke missed chunks. And yeah, so in terms of separate individual ones, I think we're like 11 off from last season. But that's not something we want to reach. We don't want to get there. But yeah, there was a lot of injuries last season. Lachlan says, how bad is Havertz's injury and will he be back soon? The hope is that it's not serious and hopefully he'll be back by like mid-March, maybe early March. So, but he's going to miss the North London derby, which obviously sucks. That's not ideal. Norwich would be a fun game. Norwich aren't very good. So yeah, I would happily take Norwich at home or away. I don't think they're particularly great So yeah, would take either of those. Gita says, we do want Wrexham. I've watched them a lot this season and we would smash them. Pavlino says, yesterday I entered to see the lineup and then got a notification even for, I didn't get a notification even for yellow cards. Oh, I see. It's kind of like notifications apparently aren't going through. There's kind of issues with a lot of apps. I think YouTube's not giving people notifications of when we're going live. So maybe it's an issue with iOS more than apps, but who knows? Maybe. I mean, some apps like BBC News or Sky News give me information straight away. So I guess probably it's more of an app issue. Hopefully they get it fixed. Arthur says, was watching several clips of our goals, and I think it was the Gooner who said, if we are in the championship, we would win all of our games. Yeah. Look, I think that the difference between the championship and the Premier League is significant. Look at the teams that come up, that go straight back down. It's a very competitive league because all those teams are kind of quite a similar level, but there is a big gap between them and sides like Arsenal. As he says, what Arsenal do between Brighton and the Everton game? It's 10 days window with no games. Do you know, or can you ask? Is there not like a Champions League game between that, or is that an international break? Or let me have a quick look. Matches. Brighton, Everton, Wednesday, March. Yeah, isn't that the March? No, that's not the March international break, is it? There's an FA Cup week. So FA Cup 5th round is that weekend. So that's what that weekend will be. And I imagine there'll be Champions League games as well, potentially, in those weeks too. So Z, that's what those weeks are filled with. Yeah, the Champions League playoff games are next week, or this week, sorry, and next week. They're the playoff games because they're before the Spurs game and they're before the Chelsea game. So that's the playoff games. And then the Champions League knockout rounds, there is the FA Cup game on the weekend of March 7th, I think, and 7th and 8th. That's the FA Cup 5th round. And then the midweek after that is, I think, the Champions League last 16 first legs. So pretty sure that's how it falls. Anyway, it's half past now, which means I've got to shoot because I've got to go catch a train. But I really do appreciate all of you listening. As always, you've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back with you as usual for a longer show and the slides as well as usual tomorrow morning ahead of Mikel Arteta's press conference, ahead of the game against Wolves. Big match. Let us know what you think about yesterday's performance. Who would you start on Wednesday? Would you be giving Odegaard more minutes? Would Eze be your number 10? Where would he play? Would you like to see Saka playing more in the central figure and playing Woes Madueke out wide again? Who'd be the centre forward that starts after Jesus got another goal? Or would it be back to Victor Gyökeres? Let us know in the comments section on your thoughts on yesterday's game and looking ahead to the next one. And make sure, of course, you tune in when it is uploaded to the next episode of the Seeing Red Arsenal podcast. I'll be joining John Cross in the studio a little bit later on this afternoon. So make sure you look out for that as well. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.